Okay, so I want to introduce the new project. And you can see some examples up on the front board in the classroom. It's called quadrilateral symmetry, which means that it is reflected once and then reflected again. So you can even see here that the butterfly is reflected and then it's reflected again. So you would have four of the same parts. So the project that we're going to do is you're going to hand draw it first. And you're going to do it on your piece of paper that I gave you in class. Everybody has a piece of paper. If you mess up really bad, then you can get another one from the sketchbook that's sitting on my desk. But you're going to use both sides, okay? So you're going to do it lightly in pencil first. And then you are going to pick your favorite. You can do two if you want to, but you only have to do one. It's going to take a long time. So you're going to pick your favorite that you did in pencil, and then you're going to trace it with the Sharpie. And then you're going to scan it in, or you're going to take a picture, actually. We don't even use the scanner anymore. We just lay it down flat, take a photograph. And we're going to put it in Photopea, clean it up. And then we're going to do a bunch of things to it after that. So we're going to do this gradually, so everybody should be able to do it. All of these samples that I'm going to show you are all from Computer Graphics 1 students. So if they could do it, you can do it too. And they turn out really beautifully. And then when I come back, I'll print out some posters of your work. Okay, so let's just take a look at some examples, and let me just explain a little something to you. Okay, so one of the things, you can see that this is quadrilateral symmetry, which means that it's symmetrical down the center, but it's also symmetrical here. So if you take a look at it, we only have to draw 1/4, and then we will do the reflecting to make it look like this when we put it into Photopea. Okay, so the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to draw your one section. So this is all you have to draw. You don't draw 4 times. And please don't make the mistake of drawing this on 1/4 of your paper. This whole thing should fill your paper. So when I give you the example, I have a drawing video that I'm going to post for your drawing assignment, but this is just the intro to show you what we're going to do. So I want you to watch this so you can just take a look at how students put them together. That's all I'm asking you to do for this today. Okay, so you can see that they drew this, and what they did was they drew a line that went like this, and then they drew another line that went like this, and then they filled it in with designs. And we're going to look at some Zentangle things tomorrow, and you're going to do a little assignment for that. But I just want you to watch this video. And actually, I think I'm going to do this Zentangle thing today. So you can just look at them. That's all I want you to do after you're done watching this video. And then you'll see a little easy assignment that's not this for you to do first. Okay, so you can see that there's all kinds of little designs in here, and they colored this. They colored this with a certain color scheme, and you're going to do a couple different color schemes with yours. So after they completed the drawing, after they inked it with the Sharpie, after they took the photo and colored it in Photopea or Photoshop, then they reflected it. Okay, so then it turned, so that's what it looked like, right? It's one big section. And then after that, they reflected it. Oops, let's go back. They reflected it and it became this, okay? So let's look at a few other designs. So here's another one. It looks like a lot of work, and it is a lot of work. I expect you to take your time and make a beautiful design. You can see that they drew shapes and then they filled them in with design. So you can see they drew this little spiral, but then they added these lines so they could add more color and make it even more interesting. So all of these little designs that are inside of the shapes are what make it so fabulous. And all they drew was that much. Okay, so they didn't do all of this. They just drew this part. And that's the whole thing right there. So that's all you're going to see. All right. And then it got flipped. So it looks harder than you think, right? That looks like a ton of work, but really what you're seeing is this much was drawn. It's still a lot, like all these little designs in here take time. You got to take your time and be slow about it and make it really beautiful. So now I'm going to just show you some other samples that students did. Um, and remember, it's only 1/4. And there's a couple different ways that we fill them in. Sometimes we're going to take some images and put them inside. And then we're going to do a couple different color schemes. So you're going to end up with 3 different versions of the way you color your work. Okay, so this is really beautiful. It has a lot of images inside, sky and grass. And I think this is corn. I don't know, but really nice color choices. This is like a bear paw in a puddle, she said. I think it's really beautifully done. And is it quadrilateral? When you first look at it, you might think it's only bilateral where it's just flipped across, but it's the same on both sides here. And then it's the same on both sides going up and down. So each one is just 1/4 and then it's flipped and then flipped again. Okay, so you'll see what we mean as we go on and you'll see the demo of how to do it. So don't worry. I'm just going to take this one step at a time and you should be able to do a beautiful job. But I want you to just come back to this if you need to and look at what other students have done so you can see how they handled their patterns inside. Look at all these beautiful, cool patterns and how they colored. Right? Look at all this. There's so many things going on. Lots of really interesting color. And you can come back and just, scroll through this and check out what other people did so that you can have a good idea of how to do it. And I have lots more because I've been doing this project for years and it just always comes out so nice. And students use these for their AP portfolios and they get put up in art shows and all kinds of things like that. So there's a lot of really um, nice work here. So notice that they didn't just color everything in the same, right? They graduated it into lighter and lighter. So they didn't just fill everything in all the same. Really interesting. Even these leaves, if you look closely, they're lighter and darker greens, right? So it's in the lighter and darker reds, blues, okay, or teal. So lots of color. These are very colorful works of art. And very highly patterned, right? Look at all the different things. So we're going to look at Zentangles because Zentangles have a lot of great pattern ideas for us to fill. And if you take a look at all these, how they're filled in, there's no places, well, these guys filled in with dark black. I prefer it not, just use a little bit, but you're not going to fill anything in when you draw it by hand. You won't do that until you do it on the computer. Okay, so this one has some patterns behind it. Gradients of color. I think this one might be up on the board. Look at all that. There's a lot of design going on in there. So here's a more geometric looking. So some of your work will be really geometric. Some of it will be very organic. And some will be a mix of organic and geometric shapes and lines, right? So this looks more organic, whereas the one before looked very geometric because it has a lot of flower-like shapes. This one is sort of geometric, but a little bit organic. It's got a rose in here and the skull that you don't see right away, but then you're like, oh wait, look, a skull and a rose. So that's the end of that. So that's, I want you to take a look at that and just look through, scroll through and look at the patterns and see what other people have done. And then I'm going to post another video for you about looking at Zentangles and just making some little practice things for that.